If you love Megan Fahey in Sirens, check out the underrated show that made her a star. What if the most powerful performance of her career was quietly hiding in plain sight, buried beneath mainstream media hype and Netflix algorithms? You've seen her as Devon DeWitt in Sirens, a woman clawing her way through a toxic labyrinth of secrets and elite manipulation to save her sister. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Sirens didn't make Megan Fahey who she is. It's just the result of a secret journey, one that started years ago in a show most people have forgotten or never even knew existed. You think you know Megan Fahey? You don't. Not yet. But by the end of this video, you will uncover the forbidden blueprint that turned her into one of the most quietly unstoppable forces in modern television. If you're even remotely interested in uncovering the hidden truth behind your favorite stars, subscribe now. This isn't celebrity gossip. This is what Hollywood doesn't want you to see. Music swells slightly, minor key piano playing, before she cracked open the White Lotus with her haunting portrayal of Daphne, before she took over Sirens and walked us into a cult-like compound where masks of wealth hide ritual darkness, she was Sutton Brady, and she was fighting a different kind of war. The year was 2017. The show, The Bold Type, The World, a glossy millennial New York media industry where lipstick, deadlines, and silent wars over power dance beneath fluorescent lights. But this wasn't your average feel-good dramedy. The Bold Type was the perfect battlefield for a star like Megan Fahey to be born, because Sutton's battles weren't just workplace squabbles, they were coded messages, trials, hidden rehearsals for the monsters Fahey would later face in Sirens. Sirens and the Bold Type mirror each other in ways that can't be ignored. Devon and Sutton, two sides of the same coin, both fighting systems built to crush them, both facing impossible odds, both navigating invisible hierarchies designed to keep them out. Only one difference: in the Bold Type, Sutton fights with ambition. In Sirens, Devon fights with desperation. The emotional machinery behind Sirens was tested in the Bold Type. Every intense stare, every subtle collapse of control, every brave, trembling decision Devon makes, Megan learned it all playing Sutton, and the producers of Sirens knew it. They were watching. So the real question is, who else is watching now? You want proof? Look no further than Season 4, Episode 6 of The Bold Type, innocently titled To Peg or Not to Peg. On the surface, it's quirky, light, even comedic, but buried beneath the surface, something chilling takes shape. In this episode, Sutton finds herself in a confrontation, not with a person, but with herself, her identity, her boundaries, her internal hierarchy. And when you rewatch it now, after Sirens, something clicks. It's the first time we see Fahey tap into that same quiet, raw vulnerability that would later define her performance as Devon. Eyes wide, voice calm but cracking, a woman stepping into unfamiliar power and not knowing what it will cost her. I don't know if this is what I want. I have to go deeper. Why does this feel dangerous? The lines blur. She was learning, testing herself, building the foundation of a character that would one day infiltrate a cult, tear apart the elite, and walk a tightrope between loyalty and lunacy. While the world saw the Bold Type as just another girl power show, the truth is more layered. Sutton's story was a training ground for trauma, failed marriages, abandonment, miscarriage, silent suffering while smiling for the camera, a character made to endure. In Sirens, Devon is thrown into a world she doesn't understand, where wealth and ritual intertwine in grotesque secrecy, but Sutton, she was already there, the fashion elite, the corporate ladder, the silent judgment of power-dressed tyrants, and every scene in the Bold Type was a whisper of what was coming, and the industry noticed. A pattern emerges. In the White Lotus, Fahey's Daphne becomes a symbol of illusion, hiding darkness behind privilege. In Sirens, Devon exposes it, and in the Bold Type, she lived it. What if the Bold Type wasn't a comedy? What if it was a coded journal, a step-by-step evolution of a survivor, dressed in heels, wrapped in pastel lighting? Because here's the uncomfortable question the industry doesn't want to answer. What happens when a woman outgrows the role they wrote for her and rewrites her own myth? Fahey didn't transition from lighthearted drama to dark psychological thrillers by accident. It was by design. So now the pieces are falling into place. And if the Bold Type was her metamorphosis, then Sirens is her awakening. They didn't want her. That's the part no one talks about. Megan Fahey wasn't supposed to be Devon DeWitt. The Sirens casting shortlist? It was filled with names you know. Big budget, headline-grabbing actresses. But Fahey? She wasn't a headline? Yet. Too soft. Too pretty. She's just the girl from that Freeform show. Words tossed around behind closed doors. Words that could have ended it right there. But then, something changed. A casting assistant, anonymous, uncredited, never named, slipped a video onto the executive table. A scene from The Bold Type. Season 5, Episode 3. Not a dramatic monologue, not a breakdown scene. Just Sutton, alone in an office, staring at a promotion she wasn't sure she deserved. Quiet, still, real, no makeup, no costume, just raw fear and buried rage. That one clip changed everything. One exec leaned forward and whispered, "She's not acting." That's survival instinct. The energy she carried, subtle, razor sharp, untamed beneath the surface, wasn't crafted. It was instinctual. It was the same instinct that makes Devon in Sirens feel so unsettling. Because she doesn't scream, she doesn't flinch, she watches, she calculates, and when she moves, it's already too late. That audition tape, never meant to be one, got her the call, and within 48 hours, Faye was cast. Just like that, Devon DeWitt was born. But here's where it gets deeper. Why did she land the role, really? It wasn't just talent, or timing, or even luck. It was tone. Faye brings something to screen that no one can teach. Silence, tension, collapse, control. In The Bold Type, she used it to survive toxic bosses and shattered dreams. In Sirens, she used it to infiltrate a cult of silence, where every word could get her killed. And in The White Lotus, she used it to manipulate power without ever raising her voice. So ask yourself, what is Megan Faye really doing? Is she acting, or is she revealing? And more importantly, what is she preparing for next? It's the moment the tone of Sirens shifts. Episode 2, Devon steps inside the compound and everything goes quiet. No dramatic soundtrack, no obvious threats, just that eerie stillness, that creeping feeling that everyone knows something she doesn't, and Megan Faye plays it flawlessly. But here's what most viewers miss. Devon isn't just entering a cult, she's walking into a psychological construct. The way her body language tightens, the hesitation in her breath, the microsecond pause before every line. These aren't random choices, they're tactics. See, Faye studied a technique used by undercover operatives and trauma survivors, controlled fear embodiment. It's the ability to wear fear like armor, not to hide it, but to own it, channel it, weaponize it. In Sirens, Devon doesn't react. She absorbs. She watches people more than she speaks, and when she does speak, it's calculated, like she's testing who's real and who's performing. Sound familiar? Sutton too was underestimated. In stilettos and blazers, they assumed she was harmless. But just like Devon, she was always 2 steps ahead, navigating an invisible system. In the real world, this behavior is observed in survivors of high-control environments. People who have learned to listen more than they speak, who measure safety by silence, who understand power without ever holding it. Megan Faye doesn't play these roles. She embodies them, and that's what made her perfect for Sirens. But now ask yourself this. Was it just great acting, or was Faye channeling something personal? In an interview long buried in YouTube archives, Faye once said, "I love characters who live with contradiction, the ones who smile while breaking inside." That wasn't just a quote, that was a confession. Because the more you study her roles, the pattern becomes undeniable. Sutton, Daphne, Devon, different settings, different stories, but one underlying thread, a woman learning to survive a world designed to control her. So the real question isn't, is Megan Faye talented? The real question is, how much of herself has she put into these roles? And how much has it cost her? It was supposed to be fiction, a cult hidden beneath a luxury compound, whispers of ritual, control, power dressed as prestige. But the deeper you look into Sirens, the more it starts to feel like a coded mirror of reality. The elite circle Devon infiltrates? It's not just a creative invention, it has roots, and the production team knows it. In early drafts of Sirens, the compound was called the Halls of Seven, a name that raised red flags for conspiracy theorists online. Because 7 isn't random. In multiple real-life secret societies, from Skull and Bones to Ordo Templi Orientis, the number 7 represents power cycles, initiation stages, and elite tiers, and the show mirrors it perfectly. 7 primary members, 7 locked rooms in the inner sanctum. 7 days Devon is told she has to prove her worth. Coincidence? Not likely. But here's where it gets uncomfortably real. On-set costume notes, briefly leaked on a crew member's LinkedIn, referenced Ritual Layer 3, Cloaked Velvet Hierarchy. That phrase appears verbatim in a real-world leaked manual from the Societas Polaris, an underground order believed to operate within elite financial circles in Europe and California. So when Megan Faye walks into that room, Devon surrounded by cloaked, nameless figures, it doesn't just feel authentic, it feels documented. She plays it too well, the way she doesn't panic, the way she studies the ritual with a perfect blend of revulsion and curiosity. That's not just acting, that's method. Some say Faye wasn't just playing Devon, some say she was channeling something that had already been whispered to her during her rise in the industry. Remember, The Bold Type was a show about breaking into high society. Sirens is about breaking into its shadow, and Megan Faye is the only constant between them. That line wasn't scripted, by the way. It was improvised, and the director kept it in because it felt too real to cut. The scene gave viewers chills. What they didn't know was that the crew felt it too. One producer later said in a podcast, when she delivered that line, the room felt colder. I swear the lights dimmed. So here we are, a fictional cult, built on real rituals, a fictional heroine, channeling real survivor instincts, and an actress who might have revealed more than she intended. There's something she does, something almost invisible, a flick of her wrist, a clench, a release. It happens exactly 16 minutes into episode 4 of Sirens. Devon stands alone in the ritual chamber. Her sister's voice echoes through the walls. She's about to make a choice she can't undo. She doesn't speak, she doesn't move, but her hand, it curls, just slightly. Fingernails press into her palm, then open, then clench again. 1 second of silence, 1 second of subconscious truth. To the untrained eye, it's nothing. But to trauma psychologists and behavioral analysts, it's a signal, a survival pattern, known as the invisible scream. The gesture has been studied in victims of high control environments, cult survivors, abused whistleblowers, even undercover agents. It's the body's last effort to stay composed when the mind is screaming. Now here's the part no one's connected, until now. Sutton does the same gesture. A promotion is offered, then snatched away. She stands in a fashion closet, alone, and again. The hand curls, fingernails press, open, close, release, and once more, there it is. The same motion, same hand, a moment of powerlessness. Controlled like a secret, 3 characters, 3 worlds. Same body, same reflex. This isn't acting, this is memory, muscle memory. Psychologists call it somatic recall. When trauma manifests in repetitive, unconscious gestures, the kind of thing that can't be faked, even by trained professionals. So what does that mean for Megan Faye? Is it coincidence? Or has she lived something that bleeds through her performances? Something unspoken? Something real? We reached out to body language experts. 3 of them confirmed it. This is a real-world coping mechanism. It's not random. Either she studied trauma responses deeply, or she's drawing from experience. But why this matters isn't just about Devon, or Sutton, or Daphne. It's about the woman behind all of them. The hidden language Faye uses to say everything, while saying nothing at all. And when actors start telling the truth without meaning to, that's when fiction becomes dangerous. You were never meant to see the scene. It was filmed, edited, locked, and then buried. The script called it The Descent. It was written as Devon's first full emotional collapse, a moment where the weight of the compound's control, the rituals, the lies, the veiled threats, breaks through her armor. I can't feel my face. Is this who I am now? You don't leave places like this. They leave you. Lines that were never aired. Cut at the last minute. Why? One source, an assistant editor on Sirens, spoke anonymously in a deleted Reddit thread. It was too real, too raw. The director couldn't watch the playback. He said it felt like she wasn't acting anymore. Faye didn't follow the scene as written, no blocking, no cues. She walked to the corner of the set, faced the wall, and began whispering to herself. Lines no one had seen before, emotions no one had prepared for. Her hands shook, her eyes locked on a blank wall, but the camera kept rolling. What she said next was not in the script. You said I'd be safe here. You said this wasn't going to be like last time, but you lied. You always lie. The set froze. Sound team stopped breathing. Someone dropped a mic boom, and when the director yelled cut, no one moved. They say it didn't feel like acting. It felt like remembering. When asked about the scene later, Faye didn't deny it existed, but she said just one thing. Sometimes the character knows more than I do. What does that mean? Was Devon speaking through Faye? Or was Faye's truth slipping through Devon? The studio cut the scene, deleted it from the final episode, cited tone inconsistency as the reason. But those who were there say it was something else, something too personal, too familiar, too honest. And what if that scene was the closest we ever got to seeing the real Megan Faye? You've seen her composed, controlled, calculated. But this was something else, a fracture, a scream beneath silence, a glimpse behind the actress, and they buried it. Because even in a show about cults and corruption, the realest thing they filmed was too dangerous to air.